talk a lot about plant success here at Backyard Farmer. We talk about right plant, right place, soil amendments, and proper watering. Watering is really important this season because 2/3 of the state is currently in the drought. And one of the most frequent questions we get is how much water should I be giving my plants? And the simplest answer is we want to water until it reaches the bottom of the roots. This is going to be different from plants that are in the container and then plants that are in the ground. When we're working with containers, we need to be mindful of a couple different things. When it comes to a container, we want to look at the actual pot. We know that terracotta pots are going to dry out quicker than a glazed or a plastic pot. And this is going to help dictate how you're going to be watering these plants. When we water a container plant, we want to be watering the soil and not necessarily the plant itself. And we want to water until it comes out of the bottom of the pot. This is going to make sure that we're getting all the roots in the container a good drink of water. And when it comes to the heat of the summer, don't be afraid or worried that if your plants start to wilt. During the hottest part of the summer, it's very common for that to happen, but we want to check the soil moisture before we start to add any extra water. So stick your finger in the soil and gauge to see if you need to water, because it's easier to add water to a container than to take it out. Raised bed gardening continues to grow in popularity because it makes it easier for us to be out in the garden. But when it comes time to watering, we need to be mindful that a raised bed is an elevated structure, that it's not in the ground. And this can affect how quickly the soil dries out. So we want to be checking the soil moisture before we add anything, very similar to what we do for a container garden. We want to stick our finger into maybe that second or third knuckle to measure that soil moisture. We had a couple times this spring actually, that we had some really warm days and it was windy, and a lot of our raised beds dried out quickly. So make sure that you're out there checking that soil moisture to give our plants a good drink if they need any. When we're watering plants in the ground, we want to measure the soil moisture before we start to water. And one of the ways that we can do that is using a long screwdriver. Most of us have one of these in the garage and we don't know what to use it for, but now you have a reason to use it. We want to stick this in the ground for about 6 inches for our herbs and veggies, and then 12 inches for our perennials, and up to 18 inches for our trees and shrubs. And we're going to use it like we do a toothpick on a cake to see if it's done. Stick it in the soil, the proper depth, pull it out. If it's moist, if it has mud on it, we know that there's plenty of moisture down there. But if it's dry or if it's hard to get into the ground, we know that it's time to water our plants. When it comes time to water our gardens, we need to think a little bit different than we normally would with watering. When we're watering, we want to make sure that we're putting the water where it's needed, so it's going to be in the soil and not on the plant. And this is important for a lot of our vegetable gardens because prolonged leaf wetness can actually cause some fungal issues, and we don't want that to happen. So when we're watering our garden, we can utilize tools like these soaker hoses that you see here to get the water where it's needed. That helps reduce evaporation to the atmosphere, and it's a great way to conserve moisture. So this summer, during the heat of the day, make sure that you're out there checking your plants, getting the water where it needs to be so you have happy and healthy plants.